Istanbul. Arjuneus is in your town. Let's have a little chat. Have you consumed cats before?
Yeah, of course.
And it tastes good?
I think so. It's good.
You think it's
Maybe.
good? How about dogs? Have you ate dogs before?
No, I haven't. Dogs, but
Cats are everywhere.
Istanbul better.
What do you think about all the cats in Istanbul? There's a lot of stray cats here.
Yes,
Do you like cats?
yes, of course.
Do you give food to the cats? Would you ever hurt? Would you ever eat a cat?
Yes.
You would eat a cat?
Eat
No cat. How about dogs? No dogs?
No.
What about pigs and chickens? You eat pigs and chickens?
sometime.
So you eat pigs and chicken, but no cats and dogs. Why is that so?
I
Don't like? You don't know. What if I told you pigs have the same intelligence as a dog? They can be trained and be like pets. Would you still eat pigs? No.
My English little bit.
Okay, that's fair. Would you ever hurt a cat or eat a cat? Eat.
No, bro, of course.
Horse?
Bro, of course.
No,
we
no.
don't eat cats. Do you mean cats?
Yeah, eating cats. Some cultures eat cats.
We are not India. Please don't.
No, how about pigs?
No, bro. We are Muslim, bro.
Muslim don't eat pigs. Okay. We don't say this. We be
Yeah, I
quiet.
can see. All the Muslim don't eat a pink, bro. You know.
But what about, I see meat here a lot. What they eat here for
Actually, they eat a chicken just like this, but we don't eat a cat, dog, ash, or.
So chicken, okay to eat here, but no cat, no dog.
Of course, you're right, bro. Yes.
Okay. So what is the difference between eating chicken and cat? Why they eat the chicken, but
I got you. What you mean? I got it, but what should I say, bro? It's not halal, but I'm sorry, bro. That's why we don't eat a cat or haram thing. We just eat halal thing, bro.
halal?
I don't know why. We are just like this, bro. It's haram for a Muslim.
And then haram, what it mean haram?
It's forbidden to eat for a Muslim.
And why is it forbidden for Muslim people?
God said, bro. I don't said. God said, and
What do you think personally? If you had to guess,
actually, I think, bro. Of course, we shouldn't eat a cat or dog or other thing. Of course, I am respect to eat people, but not, bro. You can't eat a cat or dog. Maybe there's someone eating a, how do you say, pink is a pink animal.
pink cow,
No,
chicken,
no,
fish,
no, I forgot. It's called pink, like this.
pork.
Respect to them who is eating a pork, but we just don't eat, bro. Just don't eat it.
So can Muslims be vegetarian?
Bro, yeah, I got it. Muslim.
So they could be vegetarian. They could not eat
Yeah,
animals.
actually, I was a vegetarian, bro, but I used not to eat any meat. But I am used to. My mom's always said you should eat a meat, or if you don't eat it, you don't grow up correctly. Did I say correct? I don't know, bro.
Grow up correctly, like
Yeah.
mature muscles,
Yeah, yes,
stuff
bro,
like
yeah,
this.
Yeah, yeah.
But see, interesting thing is all the protein. Where did the animal get from? The plants.
Yeah, plants.
Yeah.
Bro, plants.
What if we eat all the plants directly? Then would we grow up properly? Do you think so or no?
I think so, bro. There's so useful plants, human, but I think there's not any protein in plant in a tree. You got it?
I think the chicken get the protein from the plants. So I think nuts, bean, tofu, seeds, they have some protein. I think certain plants, like lettuce, no protein, tofu, protein, beans, protein.
There's not protein. Actually, there's calcium. Like it's useful for human, but especially there's so much protein in the animal, but not cat. Not. Of course, maybe they have, but we don't just eat it. But I don't know.
Yeah, we don't eat. See, what I'm trying to see is if it was a way to get protein from plants or protein powder, would we do that? Would it be better to do that instead of killing chicken, just like it's bad to kill cat and dog?
Actually, I don't know. I don't know idea.
Would you do it? Would you
Actually,
do personally?
bro.
'Cause you said it's okay to be.
I am hard working every day. I am going to the gym, but that's why I need protein, some of the kitchen. That's why I'm eating, bro. It's not enough for me. It's just eating tree plants. I need some really protein.
So it's hard. But what do you think about the animal? If you were the animal, would you think it's still okay for human to eat them because it's easy to get protein?
Are you sure? Bro, I don't know. I have never think about it before.
See,
That's
good,
good question, bro.
good question.
Yeah, let me think, bro. It's so
Because in China, they believe that they should eat dogs because it's protein and it's easier to eat the dog to get protein. And Yulin, China, they all eat dogs.
I know, bro. I know.
And they say the same thing that it's teen nutrients, and for them it's easy to get the protein. But America, we say dogs no good. Over here, it sounds like Turkish people say don't eat dogs.
Of course, yes, I know. Yeah, I told you, we just eat a halal thing, halal animal. Maybe I know Chinese people eat dog, eat cat, eat a bird. I know. I respect them. They know better, bro. I can say anything for them. So, do you mean is it danger to kill it of the animal? Do you think? Do you mean, or you just wondered why we are eating an animal?
Yeah, I wonder why, because you understand vegan basically means no animal products, no meat, no milk. So we're asking people to see and why the culture is this across the world. Would you ever consider going vegan?
Yeah, what should I say? I really don't know, bro. I swear, I am a little sick. Maybe I am not good in today.
There's a documentary called The Game Changers. It's a good documentary talking about professional athletes went on a plant-based diet to actually become healthier and use protein from plants. So basically, they found a way to consume food and get enough protein without harming animals, and then they were still strong and healthy. So that's something to consider, maybe. But I respect you. Thanks for taking the time to talk. I know you have a call coming on your phone, but appreciate the conversation,
Yeah,
man.
so much. See
Yeah.
you later.
Have a good one.
day.
Are you religious or
So I'm a Muslim, and my partner, she's Muslim as well.
nice, nice? So do you eat chicken, beef, but no pork?
No pork, chicken and beef.
So what would you say is the underlying difference with why pork is considered haram, right?
Yeah.
Haram, and chicken is permissible. In your opinion?
I think stereotypically they see pigs as non-permissible animals. That's the best way I can describe it. And it's the way that the meat is cut as well, which makes it more permissible. And you have to say a certain passage before cutting the meat, basically.
And what is the passage that they say?
I can't remember now. You just say Bismillah and then...
Bismillah. So can you say that for like a chicken before killing it?
Yes, basically. It's
And
like,
then it makes it halal, or
not necessarily if you just say the passage, but it's the way that it's cut as well. You just let the blood dry and then...
and what does halal mean exactly? It's permissible, but
Halal means permissible, haram means forbidden. It's the opposite.
why is it that it's permissible?
What's that, sorry?
What was the foundation that it made something permissible? Who determines the value system?
It's historically, which has been passed down from generation to time. So from the Prophet's time up until the modern era now.
So the Prophet's time, they determined what was halal and what was haram based on that time, and that's been carried over to today. Is it possible to be Muslim and also be a vegetarian or be a vegan, or is that considered?
Yeah, most definitely.
So it's not that you have to eat pork; it's more so an option.
No, it's not an option at all. You can't eat pork at all. If you're Muslim, pork is forbidden.
So basically, pork is completely forbidden. It's mandatory that you can't have pork as a Muslim, but it's optional to not eat meat or eat meat.
It's optional. That's definitely optional.
So, in your opinion, would you ever consider being a vegetarian as a Muslim or vegan as a Muslim, and why or why not?
Personally, for me, no. I do feel everybody's entitled to their own choices. As a modern era Muslim, I'm very much open-minded. So I've met so many people who aren't stereotypically as the religious Muslims, as people want, how can I say, shape them out to be in their minds. There's so many different types of... I've met gay Muslims, I've met Muslims that eat pork and stuff like that. So at the end of the day, I have friends who are pretty much like that. Some people drink, some people smoke, but they still believe, they still have that faith. But if people want to follow that faith more religiously, I believe that everybody will find their own time, or maybe find their own time. Not will, sorry, I think that's the wrong word. But maybe further down the line, they might find it in the heart where they might want to make changes. So
There's a vegan Muslim. He claims that all Muslims should be vegans because halal, in his interpretation, it means ethical and honest to the living. What are your thoughts on this guy?
that's an opinion at the end of the day. I don't believe that is necessarily the right answer from him. Halal is interpreted in many ways to many people. Halal is basically what is permissible. Interpretation of halal can mean many things to other people, but in my opinion, it's just what is allowed, basically.
So, if you had the option to consume meat or not consume meat, what would be like the underlying reason that would determine it if you weren't a Muslim? What do you think should be the foundational principle for people who haven't found Islam, who haven't found the Quran or read it? What do you think the guiding force would be for them to determine what is halal and haram? Morality, basically.
I think it's all down to curiosity. I mean, being a vegetarian, again, that's a personal choice. It's also an environmental choice as well. People want to become vegan or vegetarian because they don't believe in obviously consuming meat, because they have very honest views about the killings of animals, for example. For me, aside from basically being eating like halal or seeing things as halal, I use products which are mainly vegan friendly, and the reason why I believe that I use those products is because I don't like the fact that they test those things on animals, certain products, and there's certain brands as well. So I'm very brand conscious in that sense. But in terms of being vegan and vegetarian, that's people's personal choice.
That's amazing. So you said you buy a lot of products that are not tested on animals for like the cruelty aspect, right? So, but when they kill the animal and they say the ritualistic words, that kind of is what humane or it's more like cruelty free in that sense. When it's
I think that's just human life. It's just basically.
food chain. What do you mean food chain?
I think humans from many cultures, they eat different types of animals as well. You see people from Nigeria, they might eat something different compared to people in Australia, even in the UK, and so on and so forth. I think every culture is different in that sense. But it's just my personal belief. If I was to become vegetarian one day, I would have to have some sort of view as to, and reasoning as to why I want to become a vegetarian. I have thought about it, maybe reducing the amount of meat, yeah, but becoming completely vegetarian, I'll probably have to have a different perspective.
And what perspective do you have currently that's like you could reduce the meat, but you wouldn't go fully vegetarian? What's the reason? Because I'm assuming is it travel or
I do like meat, but I think for me, because I cook a lot of food, I'm so used to cooking food with meat. I felt that if I was more creative in terms of making food just with vegetarian stuff, maybe I might consider that a lot more. But again, it's personal preference.
so what is like about the taste of meat that you like? Like, is it the seasoning? Is it the sauce? Or is it the raw meat? What is like probably? I'm sure there's a lot, but if you had to pick one of your favorite parts of the taste of meat, what is it that you like the most?
What's the word? Versatility with meat. So you can marinate it in so many ways. Chicken is probably the most versatile meat in the world, in my opinion, because you can cook so many different dishes, as you know, in Istanbul, even in places like Pakistan, Nigeria, so many different parts of the world where you can just make use of the meat and make it taste completely different to what it originally tastes like without the seasoning, if that makes sense.
And what seasonings does it usually have over there? Is it just like oils or is it like other stuff like spices?
It depends what you use. So I use garam masala, turmeric, cumin, so many different types of seasonings, mixed herbs,
That's plant-based ingredients though. So that's the taste of plants though.
basically. So, but it makes it taste a lot more better. So I'm more edible as well.
So basically all the seasonings make it taste good. But have you ever had raw meat before?
Pardon?
Raw meat, just meat without any of the plant-based seasoning on it.
No, I've never had raw meat.
Would you ever eat meat like raw?
No, I don't think I could. I don't think it would sit well with my stomach. So.
So basically the best part, the taste aspect, do you like the versatility in the sense that you can season it with different, what you say, garam masala, oils, spices, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So if you could do that with seitan or tofu, do you think it would taste similar?
Yeah. I'm very much open to all types of dishes. So I'm not opposed to vegetarian dishes. I'm not opposed to people being vegetarian, vegan, whatsoever, because I've ate those types of foods myself. But I think for me personally, it's the versatility of trying to be more creative with cooking food, and I feel like I'm so used to cooking with meat. Maybe I haven't been exposed to many vegetarian dishes where I feel like maybe I could switch up day to day. I can have this one day in terms of vegetarian dishes and this another. So yeah.
Is this about exposure then?
Yes, basically.
Yeah. Were you going to say something?
No, I'm just looking at you. I'm guessing you're a fan.
I've been vegan for a minute. We're just interviewing people's interpretations and just opinions and their cultures and just seeing where people come from different backgrounds, just to get a survey on people and what drives them to stuff. What we generally find, like I was trying to get at, as you could tell, was we find that a lot of people like the taste of the plants, the oils and the seasonings and the spices more than they would eat the meat. Because a lot of people wouldn't eat like a dead chicken, the feathers and just the skin, but they would eat it once everything's been seasoned. And then when we ask people what do they like about the vegan meats, they say the same thing. They like the oils, they like the spices, the garam masala, whatever it is that's been added to it. So we're just going around what makes you a foodie and what makes food food. Is it the actual body of the animal, or is it actually the seasoning, or is it the actual quote unquote vegan ingredients that's being added to it? So it's interesting, but curious to hear your thoughts on it.
I guess in terms of food preferences as well. So I have a friend who was vegetarian for 25 years, and only in recent times he's just turned to basically meat very recently. I think it was just curiosity. His mom was a vegetarian throughout her whole lifetime, and his father as well. So I guess it depends what you're exposed to, really. There's nothing wrong with just being a vegetarian. There's nothing wrong with being a vegan. I respect everybody's opinions, but for me, I've just been exposed to meat. So I think if I was brought up as a vegetarian, I'd probably strictly stick to being a vegetarian as well. And obviously, being a Muslim, we've been brought up to not basically eat pork. It can come down to socialization, but it's also an educational purpose as well, which people need to know about other people's views. Why do people want to be vegan? Why do people want to be vegetarian? There's no right or wrong. It's just a matter of just an educational piece. So.
Well, thanks so much for taking the time to chat with me. I know you guys got some food to munch on.
No, it's fine.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm more than happy to take the time out to
Yeah.
speak to people. So
Appreciate it. By the way, so I always usually conclude with this, but have you ever watched The Game Changers or heard of The Game Changers?
I've heard of it. Wait, is it a show
Arnold
in America?
Schwarzenegger, I guess it's more popular in America, but it should be big in UK because a UK guy directed it. He's like a bodybuilder. They're all vegans basically, but they were doing an experiment showing professional vegan athletes and then professional meat eater athletes. And the vegan athletes weren't vegan before. They were meat eaters, but they did an experiment to see endurance, stamina, and strength and recovery time for their muscles. And they would find that if they're on a proper whole foods, plant-based diet, like proper vegan diet with all the adequate food pyramid nutrition, they actually performed better. So it was interesting because most people will, like you're vegan, you're going to be skinny, you're going to have enough protein. But that documentary is basically showing that if people eat the right adequate nutrition, they can actually perform a lot better and live a lot healthier. And it's for the longest time, say, oh, okay, you go vegan, you're going to screw your health up. And
See, I think that's an argument as well. I think the reason why some people, if we're focusing on a certain segment, let's just say gym goers, so they might want to consume meat because they feel like they have more protein intake from meat than they can with vegan food. I think that's probably one of the arguments that you can probably dissect. Me personally, I think I would consume meat. In terms of I was going to the gym, I would consume meat because I need that protein intake. Again, I can find different foods which can give me the same protein intake as I do with consuming meat, but with just vegetarian food, and could completely change my perspective.
have you heard of have you heard of Seitan? Seitan. Yeah, I don't know why they pronounce it Satan like that. It's a pretty interesting food source because it has the same or similar macros as a steak. So 1 pound of Seitan, I think has calories has 100 grams of steak. Seitan has 50 grams of protein. So it's similar macro sense to steak. Would you ever consider trying that, Seitan?
Yeah, I'm never opposed to anything. I'm always willing to try different foods. So
I always think it's a cost piece as well, right? Because I eat a lot of veggie stuff. So I eat a lot of tofu, free stuff. But I think it's in general it's cheaper as well. So
yeah, I think cost is
because
definitely a
when
massive
I
factor.
will still buy meat-free stuff, but I know it is more expensive, right?
Yeah.
It's also probably puts people off if they.
And why do you think the meat is or more cheaper? Because especially given the fact that to create an animal would take a lot more food and resources, an entire lifetime of an animal to produce that, versus which you can grow in months, or tofu which you could grow in a couple months. Why do you think that meat is so much cheaper than vegan protein sources?
I actually don't know. I wouldn't be able to answer.
It could be because of reproduction. Maybe it could be climate
Yeah,
change.
of
So
course.
many factors.
Yeah.
Have you guys heard of subsidies?
Pardon?
Subsidies. Do they have that in London? Subsidy, America, subsidies are the government pay the farmers the tax dollars so that it reduces the price of the actual product. So McDonald's hamburger in America actually costs to $20, but with the subsidies they can reduce it down to $5.
Wow, okay.
That is very interesting.
I didn't actually realise.
No, the UK is never that kind.
They have lobbyists. I know UK is a little corrupt, but I guess America might be more corrupt. They have lobbyists in the UK.
Sorry.
Lobbyists. So basically people that certain companies, by using tax money to reduce the prices of certain things or to increase the prices of certain things. So they'll have subsidizing in dairy products, and about 98% of, in US at least, I'm sure there's something similar in the UK because it's still the West, but about 97% of all the lobbyists subsidize meat and dairy products, and only 3% are subsidizing the produce. So majority of the farmers, they're actually paying them extra with tax money to reduce the prices in these fast food chains to kind of things down. Yeah, curious to hear your thoughts on it. You think it's like a conspiracy? Do you think it's fact? Do you think there's some validity
To be honest, I'm not very well educated on that sort of piece.
Yeah, neither.
But politics and the economy in the UK is very much fragile. Put it that way.
That's interesting though. Like, I don't know if many people know about if they were to do it.
Yeah. Like, do you think that like milk should be more expensive, or do you think something like oat milk should be more expensive, based on the economics that it takes to produce a gallon of that? Conceptually, like, you have to just guess, like subsidies, politics, but just conceptually thinking, if you had to go in your backyard to produce 1 pound of cow milk or 1 pound of oat milk, which do you think is going to be easier and cheaper to produce?
Cow milk.
Cow milk.
No, I don't know.
No, I'll probably say oat milk, but oat milk in price in the UK is a lot more expensive.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm so clueless. I have no idea.
I think in the UK, when there's higher, stereotypically, in terms of like economy, when there's higher demand for like essential product, they reduce the price, but then create mass amounts of like for that product, because it's a necessity for a lot of people, and it creates a lot of demand for it. For something like oat milk, maybe because it's partially products as well with some brands.
Well, what's your best guess on how they make oat milk?
Oh, I don't know.
So I'll give you guys a hint. So basically, they blend a few ingredients. What do you think those ingredients are?
For oat milk,
Yeah.
I'm just thinking of oats
I
right
don't
now.
know.
And
Glucose? No.
And water.
water. So they blend oats and water, and then they strain it.
Is that literally what it is? Oh,
Yeah.
I never...
And that cow milk, I'm sure you guys know, but what do you think the whole process is to produce one gallon of cow milk, like a baby to an adult? Like, what would that process look like?
Oh, I'm the wrong person to speak to
Yeah, I
about.
also don't know.
Yeah.
Well-
From what you said, it's way easier to get oat milk.
Yeah, then they would have to impregnate the cow, and they only have 9 months to get the milk, and then once they extract the milk, they got to impregnate the cow again, and then they have to feed the cow every single day for those 9 months to keep continuously getting the milk, and then the baby has to drink the milk. So economically, it would probably be a lot more cheaper to produce oat milk, but the system has made it seem as if you pay 50 cents extra for oat milk at Starbucks. Yeah. What are you guys' thoughts on this? So you didn't know this before, but now you do.
I honestly would have thought any kind of like product or like milk alternatives would have been way harder to produce than like normal.
Yo.
So now let's get deeper. Why do you think that they want you to think that it's a lot more expensive and a lot more bougie and luxurious to be drinking vegan milks that are made from just blending nuts and water in comparison to cow milk that's been so normalized? What do you think that they're trying to purposely do this?
As in purposely.
Purposely not subsidize the plant milks, but subsidize heavily the cow milk. What purpose could that have?
Oh God.
No right and wrong answer.
I actually don't
No
know.
pressure. You're just being watched by thousands of people.
Oh my God,
No,
no!
it's
not
This
live.
is
It's
the bit
not-
where I
no.
walk away.
We can edit it out.
No, I actually don't know.
Okay, how about you? You have really articulate answers.
No, I've run out of ideas at the moment. I've run out of ideas. But in the UK, stereotypically, so if people wanted to become vegan, for example, or like, I think to some degree, there are a lot of products which tend to be more expensive. I think they look at it from a cost point of view, because like meat, for example, I feel like they can, like the product life cycle, in terms of like they spread the cost out throughout like a week or a month. I feel like people can make the most of it with meat because they can preserve it as well. You can preserve obviously vegetarian food and vegan food as well. But I feel like people just have that preference with meat because they can be so versatile with the amount of dishes that they can make with meat. But again, coming back to vegetarian and vegan food, I think for everybody else, it should be an educational piece. If they can create something which is very, not only edible, but nutritious, which can help them in terms of like many things, like their carbohydrates, like their fats, for example.
Macros.
Yeah, basically. People had more of a holistic understanding as to how they can be more creative with vegetarian and vegan food. Maybe that perspective could change for others as well. And maybe they can figure out systematically how they can reduce costs and spread the product life cycle over a period of time without the cost of meat.
Wow. I like that answer. I think that's a good spot to end it right there.
Yeah.
Appreciate it so much, guys. What was your name again?
Imran. You can call me Imi.
Imi. Arjun, nice to meet you.
Salma.
Salma. Arjun, nice to meet you. Thank you guys so much for
My
taking
friend
the
is
time.
called Arjun. He's from Australia.
Oh, okay.
Wait,
Great.
so what's your background?
So I'm Punjabi.